Most people think a bigger paycheck means they're rich. Wrong. Income feeds you for a day, wealth frees you for a lifetime. Learn to separate what you earn from what you keep and grow. If every dollar that comes in immediately goes out, you're just running on a treadmill, no matter how fast you're earning. Today, we're going to change that. Today, we'll talk about the shift from chasing paychecks to building true wealth. Because the day you stop thinking like an earner and start thinking like a builder, that's the day your life changes forever. I can't tell you how many times I've heard people laugh off small amounts of money saying, it's only $5. They toss away change, overspend on things they don't even remember buying, and shrug it off as nothing. But here's the great lie of poverty, the idea that small things don't matter, that $5 may not look like much, but it's a seed. And seeds, when planted, grow into forests. The wealthy understand this. They know every dollar has potential. They know that dismissing the little is the fastest way to stay little. When I was broke, I had the same disease of thought. I'd look at a dollar and think, what can this even do? So I spent it on a soda, or a snack, or some other thing that disappeared by the end of the day. It wasn't until someone sat me down and said, if you keep throwing away the small amounts, you'll never get to the big ones, that I woke up. It sounded almost too simple. But that's the trap. Poverty often comes disguised as 1,000 small decisions you think don't matter. Now think about it differently. Imagine if, starting today, you set aside $5 a week, just $5. Most people think, that's nothing. That won't change my life. But let's do some math, because math tells the truth when our emotions lie. $5 a week becomes $260 a year. Over 10 years, that's $2,600. But here's where it gets exciting. If you invest those small amounts, let them grow with time and compounding interest. That $5 a week doesn't just add up, it multiplies. Over decades, those small decisions turn into tens of thousands, even millions, depending on how you use them. Wealthy people don't think, it's only $5. They think, that's $5 that could go to work for me. They see every bill as a little employee. You can either put that employee to work building something for your future, or you can fire it the moment you spend it on something forgettable. Some will argue, but what's the point of saving $5 when I have bigger money problems? Here's the point. Discipline doesn't start with big amounts. It starts with small ones. If you won't respect $5, you won't respect $500, and if you can't handle $500, you'll blow through $5,000. It's not the number that matters, it's the mindset. I remember meeting a man who made millions every year, and he told me something I'll never forget. I still pick up pennies off the ground. Why? Because he respects money, not just the big checks, but the little coins. He knows that wealth is built not on one big payday, but on thousands of small, smart choices. The poor dismiss those choices. They say, it's just a coffee, it's just lunch out, it's only a $5 subscription. But those onlys add up. The poor bleed out their financial future one tiny cut at a time. And then they wonder why, even with a raise or a bonus, nothing changes. It's because they never fix the leak. Here's the truth. Every dollar has a destination. Either you decide where it goes or it slips away. The rich don't leave that decision to chance. They tell every dollar, go earn me more. They don't underestimate the power of small sums because they know small sums, managed with discipline, turn into fortunes over time. So the next time you're about to say, it's only $5, stop yourself. Ask, am I dismissing a seed that could grow into something extraordinary? Because here's the real test. It's not about what you do when you get a windfall. It's about what you do with the little you already have. And if you can master the small, the big will take care of itself. Every fortune started with a single saved dollar. Every financial disaster started with a single careless one. Choose which story you're writing. One of the greatest traps that keeps people stuck in financial struggle is the temptation to spend as if they've already arrived. You get a raise and suddenly your lifestyle inflates. You get a bonus and you buy things you don't really need. You start living at a level that your current wealth doesn't support. This is what I call the lifestyle creep, and it's a silent killer of financial freedom. It's easy to fall into the habit of upgrading your spending every time your income grows. I remember when I first started earning more, there was a part of me that wanted to reward myself immediately, to buy that nicer car or take that fancy vacation. But what I quickly learned is that if you spend every extra dollar as soon as it arrives, you'll never build lasting wealth. You're just running on a treadmill, working harder and spending faster. The wealthy understand this deeply. They know that true financial power comes not from how much you earn today, but how much you keep and multiply for tomorrow. So, they delay indulgence, they stay modest in their lifestyle, and they funnel the extra earnings back into investments, into assets that grow, rather than liabilities that drain. There's a discipline in saying no to the immediate pleasure and yes to future freedom. It's a simple rule, but it's one that requires mindset shifts. Most people believe that when their paycheck grows, their spending must grow right alongside it. But the rich know better. They believe in delayed gratification. They understand that every dollar saved today is a worker hired to build their future empire. Let me share a story. Early in my journey, I had the chance to upgrade my car. It was tempting. I wanted to show I was successful. But instead, I chose to keep driving the old car, and I invested that difference. At the time, it felt like sacrifice, but years later, that decision was one of the smartest I made. The money I saved and invested multiplied, while others who spent every raise were still stuck. This rule, stay modest while you're building, is like planting seeds instead of buying fruit. If you eat all the fruit as soon as it comes, you'll never have trees to pick from next season. But if you plant seeds and care for them, your future will be filled with abundance. So, the next time your income rises, resist the urge to upgrade everything. Instead, ask yourself, how can I use this extra money to multiply my wealth? How can I delay my gratification so that my freedom grows faster? The answer is always to build more, save more, invest more, not spend more. Rich people don't let their lifestyle inflate with every dollar. They live modestly, invest aggressively, and delay indulgence so that their money can work harder and grow larger. This is the silent rule of wealth. Don't spend like you've already arrived. Instead, spend like you're still building your legacy. Your future self will thank you for the discipline you practice today. There's a simple but powerful shift that separates those who stay stuck in the paycheck to paycheck cycle from those who break free and build lasting wealth. It's all about how you treat your savings. Most people save what's left after spending, if there's anything left at all. That's the leftover mentality, and it's a recipe for frustration, missed opportunities, and financial struggle. Think about it. If you wait until you've paid your bills, covered your wants, and enjoyed your lifestyle before you put anything aside, you're relying on luck. Maybe this month there's a bit left to save, or maybe there isn't. Your savings become inconsistent, unpredictable, and usually small. That's how people stay trapped in a cycle of living from paycheck to paycheck, always feeling like there's never enough. The wealthy, on the other hand, flip this order completely. They treat saving as the first priority, non-negotiable and sacred. They pay themselves first, meaning before the bills, before the luxuries, before the extras. Saving isn't something they do if there's something left over. It's the very first financial action they take. When you make saving your first priority, everything else adjusts to fit the money that remains. Your spending habits get disciplined naturally because you've decided that your future is worth protecting above all else. This mindset alone can change your entire financial trajectory. I remember early in my career, I made a promise to myself to save a fixed percentage of my income before doing anything else with it. It was uncomfortable at first, cutting back on some spending, learning to live on less than I earned. But what happened was remarkable. That small habit, repeated month after month, grew into a safety net, then a springboard. It became the foundation of investments that worked for me, building wealth while I focused on growth. By paying yourself first, you ensure that your wealth-building plan never gets crowded out by daily expenses or impulses. You teach yourself discipline and respect for your future. It becomes a habit, and habits are the architecture of your destiny. If you want to escape the paycheck-to-paycheck trap, start thinking differently about saving. Don't treat it as an afterthought or a last resort. Treat it as a sacred first step, a non-negotiable commitment to your financial freedom. So I challenge you today, decide on an amount or percentage of your income to save immediately when you get paid. Automate it if you can, make it automatic so you don't even have to think twice. The money you save first becomes the capital that buys your freedom later. The moment you flip the order from spending first to saving first, you start building a different future. Remember, wealth doesn't come from how much you make, but from how much you keep and grow. Prioritize saving and watch how your financial life begins to transform. It's one of the most common traps people fall into, mistaking liabilities for assets. You see it everywhere. A shiny new car parked in the driveway, the latest smartphone in hand, or a closet full of designer clothes. They look like signs of success, symbols that you've made it. But in reality, these things are often financial anchors that hold you back rather than lift you up. True wealth isn't about how much stuff you own or how impressive your possessions appear. It's about how much those possessions contribute to your financial growth. Assets put money in your pocket. Liabilities take money out. When you spend on liabilities, you are, in essence, buying things that demand continuous payment, insurance, maintenance, upgrades, and sometimes debt payments. This drains your financial resources and slows your path to freedom. Think of a fancy car. Yes, it's beautiful and turns heads, but it loses value the moment you drive it off the lot. Add to that the cost of insurance, fuel, repairs, and maybe even loan interest if you didn't buy it outright. All these are expenses that don't generate income, they just consume it. Now contrast that with owning a rental property or shares in a dividend-paying stock. These assets work for you. They generate money even while you sleep. When I was building my life, I had to learn this lesson the hard way. Early on, I wanted the perks, nice clothes, the latest gadgets, but I found myself trapped by the monthly payments and expenses these items created. It wasn't until I shifted my focus to acquiring assets that I started to see real progress. I began investing in myself, my skills, and businesses that produced cash flow. Those were the things that expanded my opportunities and secured my future. The rich think differently. They don't just buy what looks good or feels good, they buy what works for them. They buy assets that appreciate, generate income, or save them money. The poor often buy liabilities masquerading as assets, and that's a silent killer of financial success. So, if you want to change your financial future, start by reevaluating what you own and what you're buying. Ask yourself, is this an asset that will grow my wealth or a liability that will drain it? Are you purchasing things that require ongoing payments or things that produce ongoing income? This shift in perspective is powerful. It changes how you spend your money, how you think about value, and ultimately how you build your wealth. Stop collecting liabilities, thinking they're assets, and start focusing on acquiring true assets that will work hard for you every day. Wealth isn't built by what you buy, it's built by what you own that makes money for you. Let that be your guiding principle, and you'll start to see the difference between simply having money and truly being rich. Money, at its core, is a tool, one that can either build your future or drain your present, depending on how you use it. One of the most insidious traps that keeps people stuck financially is emotional spending. It's a subtle thief that steals your resources under the guise of comfort, celebration, or escape. When money becomes a way to fill a feeling instead of fulfilling a purpose, it will always leave you empty. I've seen this in my own life and in the lives of many others. There are moments when stress hits and the impulse is to run to the store or click buy online, hoping that something new will lighten the weight inside. Or maybe it's the urge to reward yourself after a hard day, convincing yourself that spending is a way to celebrate success. But these are temporary fixes. The joy fades, the anxiety returns, and you're left wondering why your bank account feels emptier while your problems remain. This emotional spending isn't about the money itself, it's about the feelings behind it. And that's why it's so hard to control. Money becomes a way to manage emotions rather than a means to an end. The rich understand this, and they build systems to protect themselves from impulsive decisions. They don't leave their financial well-being up to feelings that come and go. So, how do you break free from this trap? First, acknowledge that your money is not emotional fuel, it's a resource to build a future. Create a budget, yes, but more importantly, create rules for yourself about spending. Set aside an amount for pleasure spending that won't derail your goals, but stick to it. Automate your savings and investments so they happen before any discretionary money is available. This makes discipline easier because it removes the temptation. Instead of spending to soothe, invest in your personal growth or your future. Take that urge to buy and redirect it to learning, to building skills, or to acquiring assets that grow your wealth. When your money works for you rather than you working for your money, you'll find your emotions won't have the same grip. Remember, systems beat impulses every time. When you build financial habits that don't rely on mood or momentary feelings, you create stability and progress. And that's the path to lasting wealth. It's not about denying yourself pleasure, it's about making your money serve a purpose greater than momentary satisfaction. That shift in mindset is what separates those who stay trapped by their emotions from those who rise above, building a life of true financial freedom. Let your money tell a story of growth, not of escape. And watch how your financial life changes when you stop spending on feelings and start investing in your future. There's a natural human attraction to what seems easy, quick wins, sudden windfalls, and easy money. Who wouldn't want to find a treasure chest overnight or hit a jackpot that changes everything? But this very lure is one of the most dangerous traps that keeps people poor. The idea that wealth can come fast and easy is a myth, and chasing it often leads to disappointment, loss, and even deeper financial trouble. In my years of experience, I've witnessed how this trap works. People hear stories of someone striking it rich with a lottery ticket or a risky investment, and they're tempted to jump in without a plan or understanding. They believe they can beat the odds or that luck will be on their side. But the truth is, easy money is rarely easy to keep. It's like building a house on sand. The foundation is weak, and the moment the tide changes, everything collapses. Wealth that lasts is built slowly and deliberately, like planting a tree and nurturing it season after season. It's about steady streams of income, consistent saving, smart investing, and reinvesting profits over time. The wealthy understand that real success is a marathon, not a sprint. They don't gamble their future on hopes and whims. Instead, they build assets, businesses, investments, skills that produce income day after day, year after year. So, how do you avoid the easy money trap? First, recognize that if it sounds too good to be true, it probably island. Be skeptical of get-rich-quick offers, schemes promising huge returns with little effort, and lotteries that drain your money under the guise of hope. Instead, commit yourself to the slow, steady path. Develop skills that increase your value. Save a portion of every paycheck. Learn how to invest wisely. Build multiple income streams, no matter how small at first, and reinvest what you earn. Remember, true wealth is not an accident or a lucky break. It's the result of discipline, patience, and sound decisions. The slow, consistent builder always wins in the long run. When you resist the temptation to chase easy money, you free yourself from the roller coaster of highs and lows, and you create a foundation that can support you for decades. Don't be fooled by the glitter of quick riches. Real gold is in the steady work done day by day. Build wealth like a craftsman builds a masterpiece, with care, precision, and patience. That's the silent rule the wealthy follow. And that's the path that leads to lasting freedom. There's a profound wisdom in silence, especially when it comes to money. The loudest spender is rarely the richest. And the one who flaunts wealth openly often reveals more insecurity than security. The wealthy understand this silent rule deeply. True money works quietly behind the scenes, compounding and growing, while the person who chases attention often loses both focus and fortune. Early in my journey, I noticed something striking. Those who shouted about their possessions, flaunted their cars, or boasted of their earnings often struggled financially or were trapped in cycles of debt and stress. Meanwhile, others, those who quietly invested their earnings, consistently built assets, and reinvested their profits, grew steadily and surely. Their wealth wasn't a topic for daily conversation. It was a legacy in the making. Silent money isn't just about modesty, it's about strategy. Wealth built quietly avoids the traps of envy, unnecessary pressure, and poor decisions made to keep up appearances. It's about letting your investments do the talking, not your purchases. When you understand this rule, you stop equating spending with success. You stop needing the approval of others to validate your progress. How do you apply this in your life? First, shift your mindset from showing off to showing up. Prioritize building assets, stocks, real estate, businesses that work for you day and night without noise or fanfare. Avoid the temptation to upgrade your lifestyle every time your income grows. Instead, invest the difference and let your wealth accumulate silently in the background. Keep a low profile with your finances. Avoid publicizing your gains and steer clear of social pressures to spend. Instead, quietly increase your knowledge, diversify your income streams, and protect your wealth by being discreet. The richest people I know don't have to prove their wealth with flashy purchases or loud claims. Their wealth speaks in time, through security, opportunity, and freedom. The rule of silent money is simple. Let your money grow in the shadows while your life brightens in the light of lasting prosperity. Remember, wealth that shouts is often fragile. Wealth that whispers and builds silently is the wealth that lasts for generations. Let your money do the work quietly, and your life will reflect the power of true, disciplined wealth. One of the most critical and often overlooked secrets to financial success is the company you keep and the voices you listen to. I learned early on that your financial future is shaped less by what you know and more by who you learn from. It's not uncommon to hear advice about money from well-meaning friends or family members who are themselves struggling financially. While their intentions may be good, the guidance they offer is often limited by their own experience or lack of it. There's a powerful difference between taking financial advice from someone who is broke and someone who is wealthy. The broke can only teach you how to stay broke, often repeating myths, fears, and mistakes that keep people trapped in the same cycles. On the other hand, mentors who have walked the path to wealth share wisdom built on real experience, successes, failures, and lessons learned. I remember a time when I was surrounded by people who didn't understand money, yet their voices dominated my thinking. Their fears became my fears. Their excuses became my excuses. It wasn't until I sought out mentors who had already achieved financial independence that my mindset and my results began to shift dramatically. It's a matter of apprenticeship. Just as you wouldn't learn to build a house from someone who's never built one, don't try to learn wealth building from those who haven't done it. Find mentors, read books, attend seminars, listen to those who have mastered money and life. Their rules, habits, and principles are proven paths, not just hopeful guesses. Also, be cautious about groupthink in your social circle. If everyone around you is comfortable living paycheck to paycheck, how will you break free? Growth requires new inputs, new ideas, and sometimes uncomfortable truths from those who've been there and done that. The wealthy also understand the value of continuous learning. They don't stop at one mentor or one book. They keep seeking knowledge, testing principles, and evolving. Wealth isn't a one-time achievement. It's a journey of constant education. If you want to change your financial story, start by changing who you learn from. Seek out mentors, who've created what you desire. Absorb their wisdom, apply their strategies, and most importantly, believe that you can do what they've done. Remember, the quality of your financial advice directly impacts the quality of your financial future. Don't take money lessons from broke people. Instead, learn from the rich, not just in money, but in wisdom, and watch how your life transforms. The key is simple. Upgrade your mentors before you upgrade your income. One of the most common traps that keep people financially stuck is the temptation to buy luxury before they've built the income to sustain it. It's an enticing illusion that owning a luxury car, a big house, or designer goods somehow signals success. But here's the truth. Real wealth isn't about what you flash today. It's about what your money can do for you tomorrow and beyond. Many people fall into the trap of financing luxury, buying things on credit, or draining their savings to afford a lifestyle that their current income simply cannot sustain. It's a shortcut to debt, stress, and financial instability. The problem is not the luxury itself, but the timing and the means of payment. True wealth builders understand this rule well. Don't buy luxury until you own the income to pay for it forever. This means you need to have assets, investments, businesses, rental properties that generate reliable cash flow sufficient to cover the cost of your luxury purchases without touching your principal or working paycheck to paycheck. I've seen many people chasing the latest trends, assuming their next paycheck or bonus will cover the expenses, only to find themselves trapped in a cycle of payments and debt. Meanwhile, the wealthy acquire luxury with a different mindset. They let their assets work first, building an income machine that pays the bills, the lifestyle, and still grows. This is not about denying yourself enjoyment. It's about patience and strategic thinking. Luxury is a reward for wealth earned and secured, not a prize for income earned and spent. For example, I once knew a man who dreamed of a beautiful home, but was stuck paying rent. Instead of rushing to buy a fancy house he couldn't afford, he focused on building rental properties that produced steady income. After years of disciplined investment, the passive income covered his living expenses, and when he finally bought his dream home, the assets paid for it. This approach creates freedom. When your assets cover your lifestyle, you're no longer enslaved by payments or worried about income fluctuations. Your money becomes your servant, not your master. If you want to build lasting wealth, focus on acquiring assets that generate income first. Let those earnings pay for the luxuries you desire, and never rush to live beyond what your assets can support. Remember, wealth is not about spending what you make. It's about owning what makes your spending possible forever. Only when your income streams can pay for your luxury purchases without stress or debt, then, and only then, should you indulge. The path to financial freedom is paved with patience, discipline, and strategic asset building, not with flashy spending on borrowed money. Build your assets first and let them pay for your luxury. That's how wealth works. This is a rule you can't afford to break. Many get trapped in a cycle that feels like life itself is on lease. Renting cars, renting homes, even renting furniture. At first glance, it might seem like renting offers flexibility and less responsibility. But what it truly costs is far greater than the monthly payments. Rent buys you time, but ownership buys you freedom. When you rent, you pay for the use of something that will never belong to you. The money leaves your hands, and no equity is built. It's as if you're paying someone else's mortgage, their car loan, or their furniture bill, and at the end of the day, you have nothing to show for it. This is a silent drain on wealth, a slow leak that erodes your financial foundation. Contrast this with ownership. Even small steps toward owning something, whether it's a portion of a home, a piece of land, a vehicle, or a share in a business, start to build equity. Equity is the cornerstone of wealth because it means you're accumulating assets that appreciate or generate income over time. Ownership converts your monthly payments from expenses into investments. I remember a time early in my own journey when I had to decide between renting an apartment or buying a modest home. The apartment was tempting. Less upfront cost, less responsibility. But I chose the home, knowing that every payment I made was an investment in my future. That home became more than shelter. It became an asset that appreciated, a foundation for financial freedom. Ownership is not just about property. It's about mindset. It's about taking responsibility for your financial future and refusing to let your life be rented out to others. It's about saying, I will build, I will invest, I will own. Owning something, anything, starts a process of wealth creation. It teaches discipline, encourages saving, and gives you something that can be leveraged for future opportunities. It's the opposite of a consumption mindset. It's a builder's mindset. I've seen people transform their lives simply by moving from renting to owning, even if it's a small business, a piece of equipment, or a stake in a project. Ownership puts you on a different path, one where your money works for you rather than you working endlessly to pay rent. If you want freedom, if you want wealth, begin by owning something. Don't wait until it feels perfect or until you think you have enough. Start where you are with what you have and take ownership of your financial destiny. Remember, rent buys time. Ownership buys freedom. The sooner you understand this, the sooner you can escape the paycheck-to-paycheck trap and begin building real wealth. The road to financial freedom is paved with ownership. Take that step today. No matter how small, it will change everything. One of the most dangerous traps that silently devours financial progress is what I call lifestyle creep. It sneaks up on you, disguised as rewards for your hard work raises, bonuses, or windfalls that seem like perfect reasons to upgrade your car, your home, or your daily habits. But here's the harsh truth. Each upgrade brings new expenses, more debt, and more pressure to maintain that elevated lifestyle. It's a silent enemy that can eat you alive if you let it. Many people fall into the trap of thinking that more income automatically means they can spend more. So they buy a bigger house, a fancier car, or indulge in luxuries they couldn't afford before. At first it feels good after all. Isn't this what success looks like? But what happens is the raise, instead of creating freedom, simply fuels a new baseline for expenses. And when the next raise comes, the cycle repeats. You find yourself trapped in an ever-escalating game, always working harder just to pay for what you already have. The wealthy understand this trap, and they do something different. They lock their lifestyle where at Island they refuse to let their basic expenses balloon just because their income grows. Instead, they funnel those raises, bonuses, and extra income directly into investments that multiply their wealth. This is the cornerstone of true financial freedom. I've seen people earn twice as much as before, but live the same way they did at half the income. They save aggressively, invest wisely, and let their money compound. Over time, these disciplined choices build an unshakable foundation of wealth. Meanwhile, those caught in lifestyle creep find themselves living paycheck to paycheck, regardless of how much they earn. Breaking free from lifestyle creep starts with awareness and discipline. It means saying no to the temptation of instant gratification and yes to delayed rewards. It means understanding that the true luxury is financial independence, not a bigger house or a flashier car. Reflect on your own spending habits. Are you upgrading your lifestyle every time your paycheck grows? Or are you investing in your future by keeping your lifestyle modest and your savings growing? The key to building lasting wealth isn't earning more, it's controlling what you do with what you earn. Don't let lifestyle creep eat your dreams alive. Lock your lifestyle where it is today and funnel every raise into your investments, not your expenses. Your future self will thank you. When I speak about wealth, I often remind people that money itself is not the goal. Many fall into the trap of chasing money as if it were the ultimate prize, the final destination. But the truth is, money is only a tool, a measurement, a medium that facilitates something much bigger: freedom, impact, and value. Those who pursue money as the end game often find themselves caught in an endless cycle, working harder and harder, yet never feeling truly free or fulfilled. This is a silent trap that keeps many locked in poverty despite their earnings. I remember when I first started out, like many others, I thought that if I just earned more money, all my problems would be solved. I chased raises, bigger paychecks, and the illusion of security. But what I learned was that this chase without purpose left me empty. It wasn't the money that changed my life, but what I chose to do with it, how I leveraged it to create freedom, serve others, and build lasting value. When I shifted my focus from money itself to the value I could create, everything changed. The rich understand this principle deeply. They recognize that money flows naturally when they focus on solving problems, providing services, or creating products that enrich others. Money follows value, it does not lead. So, instead of making money the goal, they make value creation the mission. Whether it's building a business, investing in assets, or cultivating skills that serve others, their actions are aligned with this higher purpose. To stop treating money as the goal, start by asking yourself, what impact do I want to have? What freedom am I seeking? What legacy do I want to leave behind? When you think in terms of these larger ideas, money becomes a servant rather than a master. It becomes a resource to empower your vision, not the vision itself. Another critical step is to develop your financial education, not just your income. Learn how money works, taxes, investing, compounding, and wealth preservation. When you treat money like a tool, you begin to see it in terms of utility and strategy, not just numbers on a paycheck. This shift will help you focus on long-term growth rather than short-term consumption. I often tell people to look at money like fuel in an engine. The fuel powers the vehicle, but the real journey is about where the vehicle takes you. If you're only focused on filling the tank, you miss the joy and purpose of the trip itself. Wealth, in this sense, is the vehicle that enables you to live life on your terms, serve your family and community, and create opportunities for others. One of the biggest mistakes I see is people working themselves to the bone just to maintain a lifestyle that doesn't align with their long-term goals. They're trapped in a cycle of earning to spend, spending to impress, and impressing to feel worthy. But true wealth comes when you break free from this cycle by focusing on what really matters: freedom, value, and impact. That's when money stops being the goal and starts being the byproduct of your efforts. You'll hear people say, I want to be rich. But I challenge you to say, I want to be free. Riches can be fleeting, but freedom, financial freedom, is sustainable. Freedom means you control your time, your choices, and your destiny. Money helps buy that freedom, but it can never replace it if it's pursued for its own sake. If you're caught in the money trap, the first step is to redefine your relationship with money. Shift your mindset from scarcity to abundance, from consumption to creation, from chasing dollars to creating value. When you do this, you'll begin to attract wealth naturally because you're aligning your energy with what truly matters. Remember, wealth built on value, impact, and freedom is lasting. Wealth built on the pursuit of money alone is fragile and often fleeting. So ask yourself daily, am I chasing money or am I building value? Am I focused on the paycheck or am I focused on the freedom the paycheck can bring? The answer to these questions will determine the path you take. Wealth is not about how much money you have in the bank. It's about the life you build, the freedom you enjoy, and the legacy you leave behind. Chase those and money will follow. This is the silent rule of the rich. Money is not the goal. It is the reward for serving a higher purpose. Let that truth guide your journey. And with that understanding, you're ready to make your money work for your life, not the other way around. When I speak about financial freedom, one of the most crucial mindset shifts I urge people to make is to stop thinking in terms of salary alone. Far too many are trapped in the narrow view that income is simply the hourly wage or the paycheck they receive at the end of the week or month. This limited thinking is a major reason why so many remain stuck in the cycle of working harder but never getting ahead. Early in my life, I too was caught in this mindset. I measured success by the size of my paycheck, convinced that if I could just earn more per hour or get a better paying job, my financial problems would be solved. But what I discovered through trial and error and hard lessons was that focusing solely on salary is like trying to fill a bucket with a hole in the bottom. The minute you stop working, the money stops coming. Your income remains directly tied to your time, and time, as we all know, is limited. The wealthy, however, understand a different game entirely. They obsess not over their hourly rate, but over building equity, collecting dividends, earning royalties, and owning stakes in businesses or assets. Their money works for them long after they've stopped working. They create income streams that do not depend on their daily grind. This is the key to real wealth-building sources of income that generate wealth passively or semi-passively. Think about a rental property. Once purchased, it can generate rental income every month, independent of your active involvement. Or consider dividends from stocks, money paid to you regularly just for owning shares in a company. These income streams don't require trading your time for money. Instead, they leverage your ownership. This shift requires education and action. It means learning about investments, understanding business ownership, and being willing to take risks beyond the paycheck. Many are afraid of this unknown territory, but the rewards far outweigh the discomfort. Building equity means you own part of something bigger, something that can grow over time and multiply your wealth. This also explains why some people can live comfortably or retire early with relatively modest salaries, while others earning large paychecks struggle financially. Without ownership, you remain dependent on your next paycheck, your next shift, or your next project. So, the first step is to stop measuring your worth or your progress solely by your hourly wage or monthly salary. Instead, start thinking like an owner. Look for opportunities to acquire equity in businesses, real estate, stocks, or intellectual property. Seek out investments that pay dividends or royalties. Build assets that continue to generate income even when you're not working. It's not that earning a good salary is wrong or unimportant. It's just not enough. Real wealth comes from diversifying income sources and having money work for you beyond your labor. As you develop this mindset, you'll notice opportunities where others see only obstacles. The rich aren't smarter or luckier, they simply think differently about money. They don't count minutes, they count ownership. They don't focus on trading hours, they focus on building legacies. And this change in perspective makes all the difference. Remember, salary can feed you for a day, but equity and ownership feed you for a lifetime. Shift your focus from the paycheck to the portfolio, and you'll open the door to true financial freedom. That is the silent rule the wealthy live by. Stop thinking in terms of salary alone. Instead, build, acquire, and invest in assets that pay you for life. As we reach the closing of this conversation, I want you to deeply consider the power of your own decisions and the direction they send your life. The path to financial freedom is not a secret locked away in some vault, guarded by the few who got lucky. No, wealth is available to every person willing to do what is necessary, to think differently, to act intentionally, and to persist with discipline. Wealth is not the result of chance, it is the result of choices made consistently over time. Most people believe that earning more money is the answer, that a bigger paycheck automatically means a richer life. But listen closely. Income feeds you for a day, but wealth frees you for a lifetime. Understanding the difference between what you earn and what you keep and how you grow what you keep is where the real journey begins. Many people spend every dime they make or increase their lifestyle every time their income rises, thinking that they are getting richer. But if you fail to save first and invest wisely, you are only trading your freedom for a higher paycheck, not building lasting wealth. I want to remind you that wealth begins in the mind. Your financial results are simply the external reflection of your inner philosophy about money, value, and time. If your mindset remains fixed on scarcity, fear, or instant gratification, no amount of income will build lasting security. But when you develop an abundant mindset, when you focus on creating value and owning assets, wealth is the natural byproduct. But knowledge alone will not make you wealthy. It is the bridge of consistent action that carries you across. You must build habits, not just goals. Goals give you direction, but it is the daily discipline, saving a portion of your income, investing wisely, continually learning, that create results. Many wait for motivation or the perfect time to start, but the truth is, motivation fades and perfection never comes. Success comes to those who act despite discomfort, who fail fast and learn faster, and who build momentum from their small wins. If you want to truly change your financial future, start with your habits. Save before you spend. Invest before you splurge. Make your money work for you, not the other way around. The rich don't just work for money. They build systems, businesses, and assets that generate income whether they work or sleep. This kind of ownership is what frees you from the trap of trading hours for dollars. You also need to protect your time as fiercely as you protect your money. Time is the currency that cannot be earned back once lost. Many people squander hours on distractions, procrastination, or worry. But those who build wealth learn to guard their time, schedule it with intention, and invest their hours in activities that yield long-term returns. The question you must ask yourself every day is, am I spending my time on things that bring me closer to freedom, or am I merely killing time until payday? Another critical piece of the puzzle is who you surround yourself with. Your network is your net worth. If you spend time with people who are complacent, negative, or unmotivated, you will absorb those same habits and thoughts. But when you build relationships with people who inspire you, challenge you, and model the success you want, your growth accelerates. Seek mentors, coaches, and peers who hold you accountable and expand your vision. As you build your wealth, remember to stay humble and grateful. Arrogance and greed are the fastest routes to destruction. Wealth without character is like a house built on sand. It will not stand the storms of life. Gratitude keeps you grounded and gives you perspective, reminding you of where you started and fueling your desire to create value beyond yourself. Building wealth is not just about you. True wealth is about creating a legacy, a life, and a freedom that will benefit your family, your community, and generations to come. Money is fleeting, but the impact you make through your discipline, values, and generosity is everlasting. When you think beyond yourself, your purpose becomes clearer and your drive stronger. So, what do you do now? What steps do you take after hearing all of this? You begin with commitment. You decide that your financial future matters more than your current comfort. You refuse to let fear or excuses hold you back. You make saving and investing non-negotiable. You start small if you have to, saving $5 a week, reading a book a month, building a side hustle in your spare time. But you start. Next, create your financial plan. Set clear standards, not just goals. A goal might be, I want to save $10,000, but a standard is, I save 15% of my income every month, no matter what. Standards create consistency and discipline. Review your progress regularly. Adjust your habits, your spending, and your learning to stay on track. Build your knowledge daily. Read, listen, learn. The wealthy out-learn before they out-earn. Your mind is your greatest asset. The more you feed it with wisdom, the more powerful your decisions become. Invest in relationships. Find mentors who have traveled the path before you. Join communities of like-minded individuals who inspire and challenge you. Accountability will keep you honest when distractions try to pull you away. Guard your time and your habits like a treasure. Protect yourself from the lifestyle creep that sneaks in every time your income rises. Keep your expenses steady or even lower them when possible, and funnel the difference into assets that grow. Finally, hold on to gratitude and humility. Celebrate your progress, but stay hungry for growth. Remember where you started and who you want to become. Wealth without gratitude is hollow. Wealth with generosity is fulfilling. The journey from paycheck to profits, from scarcity to abundance, from surviving to thriving starts today. It's not easy. It demands sacrifice, patience, and daily commitment. But it is simple. Do the small things right every day, and you will build a life where money serves you, not the other way around. Your future self is counting on the choices you make now. Don't delay. Don't wait for the perfect moment, because it may never come. Start planting your seeds today. Water them with knowledge and action, and nurture them with persistence. The freedom, the security, and the impact you desire are within reach. But they require you to act, think less, act more, and let discipline be your guide. Build your wealth silently, steadily, and with purpose. Live today as if your future depends on it, because it does. Your destiny is not written by your past or your paycheck. It is written by your decisions, your habits, and your willingness to build a better life. Take control now. Step into the role of owner, learner, and creator. Your journey to financial freedom begins with a single step. Take that step today.